I recently did that one video on Architects Act amendment and Council of Architecture and a lot of things I think which were slightly emotionally resonating with me. I can see people are viewing it, so I'm happy that I'm making somebody think. So that was a generic kind of comment, but I've realized that this is something slightly serious and what I've said is maybe not fully understood by people who are maybe even connected to the drafting of the legal side of this matter. So I would do this video to explain, how this amendment that really matters. See, there are lots of amendments that are being proposed for different agendas, but to architects, the amendment that really matters is the one which is in the whatever section 2, whatever you call, which defines architectural services. So if you look at the original Architects Act, there is no reference of any architectural scope of work or something like that, and we have presumed that that is the issue with the act, and we want to correct it. So that is maybe the main issue that is being tackled. So let me show what is being done and what it actually means when you understand the deeper principles of jurisprudence and don't think that law is a game of words and you can draft some foolproof contracts and fool people. So you have to excuse me because I'm short-sighted, so I'll be reading that part, and that is something that maybe you can otherwise refer to. Is that so? I think council has sent a email or message to everybody, which is containing the proposed amendments and the relevant amendment that is there. I will like to read out to you first. Okay. So you please excuse me with my short-sighted glasses. Okay. So it goes something like that. It says AA architectural services includes providing any building design for, I don't know, somehow for is underlined, for site development and related infrastructure as part of built environment, comma, preparing and signing of all drawings and documents required for statutory sanction and for construction, comma, scrutinizing the related documents, comma, regulating the construction and development of buildings and related matters, full stop. So this is the amendment for which maybe this entire thing is happening. And let me point out, if you look at the original act, it had nothing. The section 2 had just in this act unless the context otherwise requires. It says A, architect means a person whose name is for the time being entered in the register. So that was the original part. So when you had the Architects Act drafted by people who were parliamentarian or lawmakers, that is what they said. So let's first understand why they said that. So if you look at the original act, it is just saying that architect is a person who is registered with the whose name is appearing in the register that is maintained by Council of Architecture. So what does it mean? That means that Council of Architecture is the authority which is supposed to look at what the chaps who are registered with it are going to be doing, and law wants to be silent about it because law is not really, this is not some kind of tender specifications that law would like to get into it. Law has felt that there is a need of an architect and there is a body required so that that profession is properly conducted using appropriate code of conduct. So law has just said that okay, whoever you want to put your name inside the register as per your pre-qualification, your understanding, is an architect. That is fine with us. So that was the original act. Commits this amendment, and what does it try to do? First, that it says it includes, and if I recollect correctly, one gentleman during the webinar pointed out that we should say includes but not limited to, so that we can so we can have the earth and we can add the sky to it also whenever we want. And then it goes about describing things that it believes that architects do in a way where there is nothing really defining. So it's like a process description, okay, that you would sign documents and you would do this and you would do that. I would not like to read it again carefully, though I have read it for your consideration and you should go back and read it. But I have a very simple question to ask, and which will be the simple question that courts would ask and everybody else in the world would ask, is that okay, this is what you're saying is the architectural services, and this is what is included in it. But what decides that you are the only one competent of rendering it? Compliance to construction bylaws, how is it your monopoly? Any aspect of construction that you are referring to in that said amendment, can somebody in the council sit back and provide a justification that architects have this some kind of mysterious ability to render these services and the other people, namely engineers, can't? Frankly speaking, if you go up for this amendment and if you get it, you are not going to be at all better off. Maybe it will just get worse, because whatever you're referring to can be done by a lot of other people. So court would be very amused to see this as a definition. And I'm sure there are very learned people sitting there, looking at this entire dimension of how to draft correctly. So I would again not like to get into that nitty gritty, but would like to discuss jurisprudence here. So what is, when things go to parliament, when things go to Supreme Courts, what happens? What is looked at? Yes, words are looked at, commas are looked at, all these are fine. But the spirit of law is looked at. Something deeper is looked at, that is, is it really good for people? Is this something that is contributing to the society in a manner that profession should be? No law, no parliament, no Supreme Court wants to create unnecessary monopoly. No modern judicial process or legislative process is looking to assign exclusivity or certain rights to people just because they want it. Okay, so if architects want monopoly, that does not mean that the world believes that architects need monopoly. So, primary principle of law, justice, jurisprudence is that you're deciding what is good for you doesn't really work with justice system. So anytime if architects would define something as their exclusive right and get it enshrined in the act and are successful with it also due to some reason, I have no idea, it would not mean that that law would be sustainable when it is questioned. So all these qualities, these processes that are described in the current amendment are completely plausibly possible for an engineer to deliver. And what you have done is that maybe you don't want to do it, but you are again trading on the same toe, which is raw, and that is where the kicks are coming from. So I hope that we start looking at this definition of architecture or architectural services either in consultation with the engineers who are, they are your eternal twins. You are not going to be able to, because whatever you do has got some impact in what they'll do. So you are not going to be able to sit in the silo and decide what you will do or what is your scope of work. Ideally both these agencies can come together and do it, that is fine. Otherwise you generate some kind of strong exclusivity which is backed by your curriculum, which is unique to the training that is received by somebody you call an architect, and then it has a sustainability. What it is there currently as an amendment has a very very simple legal problem, and that is that there is no justification of it being exclusively rendered by architects. So even though it is enshrined, it would not prevent other people from doing the same job, because that is how that amendment is going to be read. So with that